Hi, and welcome to our program. Today we have a very special guest, sci-fi expert Robin. Welcome. Robin? Oh. Okay.
Hi.
That was quite some entrance.
Yeah, I was traveling in another dimension. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah.
So
I'm sci-fi expert today?
Yes.
Okay.
Stick to the script?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my first question today is about space travel. How convenient.
Yeah.
So, and it's about Star Wars. So in Star Wars, they use this hyperspace lanes where they travel.
Yeah.
So is this actually possible? How scientifically accurate is this?
So they travel in Star Wars, if I remember correctly, they travel in these kind of hyperspace. So this is actually another dimension that they travel through that might be possible, but it's not something that we know about if it really exists in this way. But let's take one step back. Space travel is definitely possible. I mean, we have been going to Mars with some rovers, with some robots. We have been traveling to the moon and trying to repeat that very soon. And we have sent other stuff in space. Sorry.
But is it possible to do it how they do it, like to use speed light? Like, can a starship? So
there is quite a limit to how fast we can travel to space, and that is the speed of light. We cannot surpass the speed of light. It's like a fundamental law of the universe. Light travels pretty fast, and we're not at all reaching that with the rockets that we have nowadays. But if we want to travel to another planet in our solar system, it might take us years to do that. And if we want to travel, let's say, to another galaxy, it might take us a very, very long time, unless we have like very good rockets that can go super fast, or unless we have this kind of hyperspace that would work. Let's say that we can travel. Let's say that some parts of the universe are connected in a dimension that we cannot really see because we, as humans, are used to 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time. So let's say that some places in the universe are connected. It's scientifically it's perfectly possible, and there might be a way that we have more dimensions than we as humans can perceive. But there's no real, apart from a theoretical framework, there's no real proof that it works like that. So that's where science fiction comes in, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of possible, but it's not in the way...
not proven, yeah.
Yes, not in the way they do.
Yeah.
Okay. So my second question is about black holes. And Interstellar. I don't know if did you see the movie?
Yeah, I saw the movie.
So is it possible to survive being that near or traveling through a black hole like the main character did?
Yes, so they were really traveling inside a black hole, right? No, I would say.
And he was like transported to a fifth dimension.
Yeah. Okay. So
floating.
Of course, you have this kind of you have the science that we know about, and that would be you won't be traveling to a black hole. You will never really escape that, because there's a black hole is basically something that has a gravitational pull that is so hard to stay out of. Let's say, for example, the Earth also has a gravitational effect. That's why if we jump, we fall back down. If we jump like very, very fast, let's say that we have a rocket that we send off, it will be attracted to the Earth. But if we have enough energy to then it can escape the Earth. You cannot really escape a black hole once you're so near to it. What happens when you travel inside a black hole, we don't really know. But in general, you get what we would call spaghettified. So it means you get really torn apart. The part that is slightly more close to the black hole, it gets pulled in so much more than the other side of your body. So unless you're a perfect point, you get teared apart. Yeah, I don't think it's so much fun, and I recommend you not going to a black hole if you don't have to.
Mind.
What they try to do in Interstellar is work with the whole possibility that we don't really know what happens in a black hole. There is we have a theoretical framework, but it's actually a lot of physics laws. They break down the moment you talk about black holes. So I think they play with the idea that the black hole might be a wormhole to go somewhere else, or might be a way to travel to another dimension, which I guess theoretically might make sense, but as far as we know at this point about black holes, you cannot survive that, and you won't remember that that you ever traveled to a black hole, because you won't exist anymore.
Fun.
You wanted an honest science answer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you have it.
But it's also nice to think that Interstellar is kind of accurate, or this is actually possible.
A lot of things that they do in Interstellar are actually quite good if you compare to Star Wars or a lot of other science fiction. Yeah. Then it's actually pretty good. They when they talk about space travel, it's a lot of things that make sense. But
they consulted with a lot of experts, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the physics is mostly quite right in Interstellar, but the freedom, the creative freedom that they use for black holes is on the edge.
Yeah, okay. So. You just mentioned wormholes.
Yeah. Can
you explain what that is?
They also, maybe I can try to draw that. so our universe is basically made out of it's basically space and time that work together in this continuum that we call space-time. It's traveling through. You travel through space, but the space on itself is also bended. For example, let's talk about two-dimensional space. This would be like a grid, how it would normally look like if you don't have any objects around. But the moment you have, can I try to draw this? I'll do my best. The moment you have something like a heavy object in the middle here, let's say that we have the sun here in the middle, then the space itself, you cannot see this, you cannot see these lines, but the space itself get bended. So it means that if you travel, let's say you are a rocket that travels here, then you will, if you try to go straight, you will get attracted.
It will not let you.
Yeah, exactly. You will get attracted here. Maybe you will even bend off in some way. You actually. It all depends on the speed that you have and so on, but you actually get attracted to this heavy object, and you can think about it as gravitational pull. But Einstein's theory of relativity says that it really bends the space, and I'm coming to your point, and that it's actually going to make your trajectory different. You can bend this a lot. If you have a black hole, then it would not look like something like this, but then it would be like. Let's say an infinite deep well that you cannot really escape. That's what I said. Like if you travel near to a black hole, you will get sucked in, and it would look something like this. Let's say there is a possibility that the three-dimensional space that we know is not just a continuum flat thing, but I'm talking about space-time actually in general. But it might be something that is folded in a way that we cannot really see. That makes it possible that a part of space that is here is connected to a part of space that is here. Let's say that here we also would have the same kind of heavy object that is in space here. It might be connected in some way to another part of space, so that if you travel with your rocket through this wormhole, that you end up in another part of space. And this might be
still the same time.
It's there is no thing as the same time in relativity. It's the same universe, and it's another part of space-time. So think about it as this grid, the grid that you can really bend, you can really stretch it and bend it as you want. If you are, if you're creating a universe and you put some heavy object, if there's a very heavy object bending space-time here, it might be connected to another place in the universe.
So basically, the wormhole is like a theory of what can happen in a black hole. Like it can be like a tunnel.
Not necessarily a black hole, but something that looks like a black hole, maybe that
So
is actually connected to something else. Yeah, black holes and wormholes are two different things. A black hole you can see as a kind of wormhole that you cannot escape. That isn't going anywhere.
Can we travel in space like in Star Wars? Did Back to the Future actually show us that we can travel in time? Is it possible we are living in a computer simulation like in The Matrix? Sci-fi expert Robin explains. So let's talk about time travel. In the very famous movie Back to the Future, the doctor makes like this travel machine in a car. How possible? How likely is this to happen? Because he said he just needed certain ingredients kind of to make it work, and it was this flux capacitor, and that was fueled with plutonium.
Yeah. So. Okay. These are all like funny science things that they put like as spices on top of something that is exactly.
This sounds true.
There's nothing that we know that we need plutonium to build a time machine or whatever, something like this. But it's playing around and it's fun. They try to figure out different ways of, because also there is a theoretical framework about time travel that we can talk about, but if it works or not, and in what way, and so on, that's all theoretical gibberish. So it makes it possible to create a lot of open space as a filmmaker to fill in the gaps. Okay, so the way that I did this was with traveling with a car, and then they come back to the future or back to the past. There's one big important thing. You asked me if this is possible, and we should be talking about two different things: traveling to the future or traveling to the past, because that's actually a big difference in time travel. Okay. Traveling to the future, it exists, and it's actually been proven that you can travel to the future.
Been proven, but haven't been done.
No, it has been done.
Okay.
But
how?
When I'm talking about traveling to the future, then I'm really talking about microseconds. I was talking about Einstein before. So he made this theory of relativity that says that our clocks go differently dependent on how fast we are moving through space. So it means that if you're traveling past a very heavy object, let's say you go past a wormhole or a black hole without falling into it, right? So then your clocks will appear as time is a bit slower than people who are not traveling, and it really is like that. So if you're traveling fast, or if you're traveling next to a heavy object, your time is slower than people who would just stay on Earth.
Okay, I don't understand why this happens.
This is just okay. If we want to explain that, we need like a few more episodes of this.
But stay tuned, maybe.
But this is something that is actually a consequence of the speed of light that is constant everywhere. Okay. And then Einstein in his theoretical framework figured out that if this is the case, then everybody traveling at a certain speed would have a different time, would have a time of its own. Okay. And I know this sounds like completely crazy, but we can actually. This is something that you can actually measure. So what a famous example is when two twin astronauts that are born on the same exactly like one minute after each other, whatever. They one of the astronauts they actually travel around in the International Space Station, and they spend like a year there, or they would travel with a rocket somewhere to the moon and go back. When this person who traveled comes back, actually a bit less time passed on their clocks compared to the twin that stayed on Earth. And when I'm saying a bit less time, that's like microseconds, which is 0.0001 seconds different.
How can you see this then?
You can really see it in the way that the person ages less, and also that the clock is ticking slower.
But where is this clock? Is it a physical clock or is it your internal clock?
It's both. So it's both. It's your biology. It's a clock that you bring with it. Everything, whole of physics, is slower when you're traveling fast.
So you
through space.
basically compare the clocks that they have.
So you let's say that you set the clocks at the same time, and then the astronaut travels off and comes back, and when it brings its clock back, then you see that this is actually a few microseconds difference from this one. And now I'm talking about microseconds, but in the future, it will definitely be possible to travel closer to the speed of light. If we have enough energy for that, if we advance our technology enough, then we can travel much further out. If then someone would come back, then it would be perfectly possible to not be microseconds apart, but be years apart. Okay. So if you travel very fast, very close to the speed of light, come back, and for yourself only 10 minutes passed, maybe when you come back to Earth, like hundreds of years have passed, and then you're actually traveling to the future.
It can happen, but it's not like this magical formula that they
the magical formula
back in the future.
So yeah, the magical formula that you need here is a lot of energy for your rockets. Okay. You have to go very, very fast, and that for that you need a lot of fuel or a lot of energy. And we don't know yet how we can do this apart from traveling microseconds to the future, but it is definitely possible. Okay. Let's talk about traveling to the past.
Okay.
So this is a bit more tricky, because if you travel to the past, then a few things break down. I mean, with that, there's a few paradoxes that might appear. Can you really change the past if you go back? Or is there no real way to change that? So back to the future, when they travel to the past, and you would change something that would make you appear different.
The present, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Then something. Then you might change the present you as well. And a famous, I think, somewhere in the movie, it's like they also, he travels back, and then his parents don't meet, and then he starts disappearing itself. So this is like changing the future. It would actually look a bit like this. So you have different, let's say this is the timeline. We go in this direction with the time, and then you make different choices. So you can either your parents meet or your parents don't meet, and then here they make a boy or a girl or whatever. Okay. I mean, the different choices or different things that happen in life. If you live here on this spot, and you travel back in time to this point before your parents meet, and you make it impossible for them to meet, you end up in this timeline. But it also means that present you is changing. So that brings a bit this paradox of does this actually happen or not? And there are different ways to go along with this. There's this other series called Dark, where you cannot really change something that will influence the present. Yeah. So where it would look more like something like this. Also in Harry Potter, I think you have the same. You have one timeline, and if you go back to the past, then you can try to change things, but you're actually
the outcome will be the same.
The outcome will always be the same, and you cannot really influence it. So this is how they try to do it. They also, I think at a certain point they try to kill a certain character in the series, and although I think Jonas even tries to kill himself, and it doesn't really work, or the gun doesn't fire or something like this. Yeah.
So now let's talk about the most scary topic here.
Okay, what is that?
Which is that we may be living in a computer simulation. The Matrix explores. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this? What are the science thoughts on this?
Knowing if we live in a simulation is very difficult to know, of course, because only if there are some glitches in the simulation where you can really feel that we are living in it. But the thing that the Matrix is exploring, the idea that maybe all of us were not in a real reality, but you can travel to the real reality. I'm sorry to say it, but it is possible. Okay, think about this. We are at a stage in our as humans We haven't been around for so long, and computers haven't been around for long at all. It's only for like 30 years that we can really do good calculations on a computer, and then the internet exists and whatever. So. And our computer power is actually increasing still. What we can do, how we can speed up some some calculations is going really fast. So it means that at this moment we are building computers that can already simulate stuff. Think about Sims game or something like this. Okay. It's actually you're
simulating a human that is living somewhere, and maybe this human doesn't. You can say, okay, it doesn't have thoughts. It's just following left or right, whatever I'm saying it to do.
But
maybe
what if you include a lot of complexity, and what if you like build a brain on a computer that can decide stuff as our brains are doing? If we have enough computer power for it, in the next 100 years, it might be perfectly possible that someone, for fun, tries to create a universe.
That's how everything starts, for fun, and then you end up living in a computer simulation.
The problem is we cannot really exclude that because as we as humans can build a simulation and can even build our own universe in the future. Why isn't there like another species in a universe that we don't know of that created us?
Okay, so we cannot we cannot prove this, but we cannot deny it either.
No, I read an article lately that said there was a 50% chance that we live in a simulation, yes or no.
Okay, I think it could be a worse ratio, but still.
Does it matter? I mean, yeah.
Well, that's a whole other question. Does it matter? But yeah, in the Matrix, this is caused by AI, right? So humans are just feeding AI because they need this energy to survive. But another very interesting movie that explores AI is Ex Machina. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I didn't see it, but yeah.
So in this movie, they're developing an AI, and the creator brings this guy to test it to see if it can pass the Turing test. So maybe you can explain a little bit about it.
Yeah. So AI, or artificial intelligence in general, is a technique that we developed very recently as humans, where we build a computer in the way that it's not logic, as we did so far with just if I press this button, this happens always in a computer. We create a shortcut in designing a computer a bit more as our brains are built, where we don't know all the different steps in between, but we can really train the computer to understand something better. And a very easy example for that is having certain images of cats and dogs. You can feed this computer cats and dogs. You can say, give it like 10 examples, as you would do for a kid. Like say, give 10 examples of an image of a dog and 10 examples of an image of a cat. And then you give a new image that it didn't see before. And you can say, okay, what is it? And a kid would look at it and see, okay, that it has like this pointy eyes, or this pointy ears, or the head looks a bit like this, or the tail is long. So I know it is a cat, for example. This you can also train a computer to do this. Instead of saying the exact rules, like look for the pointy ears or something like this, you don't have to give it the rules. You just have to give it a lot of data. And then the computer can start and learn on itself.
So this is like the key, the amount of data that the computer can have.
Yeah. So we can create an AI that is very good at recognizing cats and dogs, but it doesn't have to stop there, of course. You build.
That's the priority, is recognizing cats and dogs.
No, we use AI actually for a lot of different specific tasks. But of course, one of the things is then if we build a computer in the way that our brain works, where we don't know all the different steps in between, but we know the input and the output, let's say. Why should it stop there, and why can't you feed it like everything and make make an output on any kind of image that you give or any kind of input in general that you give. And then you're basically creating a human in a computer, or a human brain in a computer, or at least how we understand that the human brain works. You can train it to be a bit like anything that you want. You can train it to be a bit like a human.
Okay.
And then you were asking about this Turing test. So if you want to,
what is it?
Yeah. So if you want to figure out if a computer that you trained is a real human, yes or no, then you can. You can put an examiner in a room and give it like two chatbots, two people to talk to. One person would be real in another room talking back,
and another person would actually be this AI
that is that is trying to communicate. If the human, if the examiner gets fooled by the AI, thinking that the AI is a real human, then you pass the Turing test, so to say. So then your computer becomes so much of a real human that it looks a bit like you have created a human on a computer.
So, but is this human in a computer? Like, is it only acting like a human, or is it also like conscious of its own existence? Does the Turing test that?
So the Turing test is actually, it's a very narrow test in the way that it's a way, can you fool another human, yes or no? It doesn't say anything about consciousness or so. But to be honest, as scientists, we don't know what consciousness means exactly. So it is still we know that our brain also works with inputs and outputs, and we know that if we bring these chemicals to these cells, then this will come out, and that we behave in the way that we do. We can do exactly the same to a computer and have a kind of similar output. So is there a real consciousness extra to us that we cannot create inside a computer? We actually don't really know, because we don't know what consciousness would be then.
So much that we don't know. But just the last question about this Turing test. Has it been performed, and has some AI actually passed it?
So there is an AI that in 2014, I think, that passed the Turing test, but not everybody agrees on that, and not everybody agrees that the Turing test is a good test.
So there's still a lot of debate around this, on what you can measure, what you cannot.
Exactly, and what the Turing test says. Yeah. But one way to fool is actually something that I brought here. This is you know about this. We talked about this, but I'm also showing it to the camera. This is actually an art project that won an art prize this year, without being known that it is AI that actually created this image. So this is not a human-made one, although it really looks like it. It's made by a computer, and so I mean, computers can already fool humans in different ways, in outperforming humans, and even in art, and making music, in doing certain computational tasks. Definitely they outperform us for a lot. Maybe they will outperform us in our own consciousness at some point.
So, once again, our grand finale, the first round of questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. On. Can you survive traveling to a black hole?
No.
Can we travel to the future?
Yes.
What about the past?
Maybe.
Do we live in a computer simulation?
Yeah, there is a chance.
Thank you so much for coming, Robin.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for staying with us. See you next time.